Good afternoon. Welcome to PS1. My name is Andy Salas. I am in 3rd grade here at PS1. Last year, students from my grade decided to try a healthy lunch. We tasted the food, and most of my class liked the spaghetti with tofu. As a school, we decided on an all-vegetarian lunch menu. This has been a really fun experience. I think lunch is great, and this makes our school unique. I definitely think more schools should try this. Now, I want to introduce Mayor Bill de Blasio. Thank you.
Okay, hey, Andy. Andy, you gotta turn around a minute. Everybody, it's Andy's birthday. Let's give him a big round of applause. There you go. You did a great job, Andy. Thank you. Well, how impressive is that? An 8-year-old who is standing up and saying what he thinks is right for his school and for the health and well-being of everybody. That's really fantastic and very moving. And we are here at Brooklyn. PS1 has the distinction of being Brooklyn's first all-vegetarian school. Isn't that amazing? And I am very proud of all the students, and I'm proud of everyone here for their decision. They made a decision based on their own experience and their own values that they wanted to live healthier, and they wanted to do something that they thought would be good for the earth as well. And they decided to step up and do something different. I think it's incredible. So I really give a lot of credit to everyone here at the school. And this is part of a bigger movement that's happening in this borough and in this city. And we wanted to be here as part of Brooklyn Week, of City Hall in Your Borough Week, particularly due to the leadership of Borough President Eric Adams. Now, if you spent any time around Eric in the last few years, you would see he is a very sincere human being. He's done a lot to help people over many decades. He's also a dog with a bone, if you'll forgive that analogy, when it comes to speaking up for the idea of a plant-based diet. So we've had this conversation a lot of times. He loves to tell people about what he's experienced, the decision he made, the impact it made on his life, but also he spreads the message there's some things we can do differently in our whole society that would be good for everybody. And boy, you know, before, if you met Eric before, good-looking guy before and after, I'd like to note. He was a little beefier, a little bigger, but now it's incredible. This man's in the perfection of health here. So Eric, you've proven through your own example that your philosophy has a lot to recommend it. Let's thank the Borough President for all he has done. I want to thank the principal of this great school, Arlene Ramos. Thank you so much. Where's the principal? There she is. And Arlene, thank you. You talked to me about the process you went through here in the school, where students raised the concern, and that led to real conversations amongst the students and then with parents that got to the decision to become an all-vegetarian school. So I really admire that you gave people a chance to talk about their views and figure out what worked for them. So Arlene, well done. I want to thank Anita Scott, the superintendent for this district as well. And from my team, I want to thank our Director of Food Policy for the Mayor's Office, Barbara Turk. Thank you so much for all you do. And at the DOE, the CEO of the Office of School Support Services, Eric Goldstein, thank you so much. Representing folks who do such good work for our kids, I want to thank Sean Francois, the president of Local 372 AFSCME. Want to thank an organization that's worked hard for these kind of changes, the Coalition for Healthy School Food. Thank you. They are vocal. And all the parents at PS1 for this beautiful school community that you've created. Now, I want to be clear up front. I myself am not yet a vegetarian, but I'm surrounded by vegetarians. My children, Kiara and Dante, are strict vegetarians. They made that decision both, I think it was in middle school for both of them, and they have stuck with it since, throughout college and beyond in Kiara's case. And they are very vocal about both what a good experience has been for them and also what it means for our larger society and for our earth. So I have some very good influences in my life. And I think what we're talking about today, I want to make really clear. If you're vegan or vegetarian, it's obvious why this discussion today is important to you. But even if you're not, even if you had a bacon, egg, and cheese this morning, you still should want to see more and more of our diets go to a plant-based approach. It's good for everyone. And this is about recognizing, again, our own health and the health of the planet. It is about making different choices and starting to move in a different direction. Everyone will do it their own way. Everyone will exercise their own choice. But one thing we could say overall is it's a good direction for our society and certainly for our city to move in. Now look, it comes back to some of the things that we've seen only in the last few decades in particular become crises. You know, the idea of the climate crisis a few decades ago was not widely understood. It wasn't widely believed. And now for so many of us, I'd say the vast majority of New Yorkers and Americans, we understand there is a climate crisis. And the decisions we make have an impact on that crisis. The obesity crisis. A few decades ago, we would never have talked about it. But with the advent of more and more fast food and unhealthy food in people's lives, we ended up having an obesity crisis. Both of these crises can be meaningfully addressed by adopting more of a plant-based diet. Again, everyone will figure out the degree, but if everyone takes steps in that direction, it'll help to combat obesity and it will help to address climate change. And with our young people, we have a chance early on to show them what healthy eating looks like and all the options and choices they have. And obviously in this school, kids took matters into their own hands, but we want to make sure that option's available. We want to show them all the good choices. And also, we want to recognize that by purchasing less meat, we have an impact on the carbon footprint. It's something that people more and more are realizing, that the production of meat has a very big impact on our climate. And here's a chance to do something about it. So we are now announcing today that in 15 public schools in Brooklyn, in our beloved Brooklyn, in 15 public schools, we will be instituting Meatless Mondays. And these schools, like PS1, will be offering all vegetarian lunch and breakfast menus on Mondays. So it'll be the whole day through. And that will start this spring. Now, this is a big deal. And it's going to show people all over the city that this is an idea that can work. But I'd like to add some personal commitment to this. I really want to commend these young people and commend this school. So I'm here to announce that at Gracie Mansion, we are now going to be instituting Meatless Mondays as well. And that will be for our family meals as well as for the events we have at Gracie Mansion. And when we have guests over to dinner, we're starting a new habit. And it's something I'm really looking forward to. Now, I want to tell you, when you see young people, I mean, third graders, this is a beautiful thing. When third graders are so conscious and they say, we want to make a change in our own lives, that really gives you hope for the future. It really gives you hope to see that kind of concern, that kind of involvement. And I want to say to all the parents here, thank you for listening to them. Thank you to the teachers, thank you to parents, to the principal, because you're giving these young people a real sense that they can have an impact on their future. And by the way, we should be thinking about these young people and the generation beyond. And for them to know they can make an impact on their own lives, that's going to really encourage them to be involved in their society in a positive way. So let's thank all the adults who are a part of this for doing such a good thing. Before I turn to two colleagues, I'd like to just say a few words in Spanish. Estamos anunciando un programa de lunes sin carne en las escuelas públicas. A partir de esta primavera, 15 escuelas de Brooklyn se verán comidas solo con vegetales cada lunes. Así mejoramos la salud y la resiliencia de las generaciones futuras en nuestra ciudad. With that, I want to bring forward our chancellor. She is, as I've seen over the years, a big believer in school communities thinking together about what works for them and making choices that will help to improve their school. So I know this warms her heart today as well. Our chancellor, Carmen Farina.
Well, I have to say this couldn't have happened on a better day. Last week, we had at the DOE Alice Waters come speak to our staff. This is the person who started the Farm to Table movement, and she was passionate, she was inspiring, and she gave us a lot of new ideas. Right, Barbara? And I have a list. And now I think I've also asked the Borough President to join us in this, because there is a saying, and the child shall lead the way. And what I heard at my table today was the children who I was sitting with brought their own lunch to school, but it was a meatless lunch. They also all convinced their parents to cook on Mondays dinner that is meatless, and one of the children told me, and I taught him what to do. So the reality is then when we think about how we do this, this is the generation that is very much aware of what they need to do. And the fact that a lot of the food products that now come to the school come from farms nearby, because Brooklyn is growing an awful lot of their own farms. This is really, to me, inspirational. And to have 15 schools in Brooklyn, which is one of my favorite boroughs, I think is really, really important. But I think also this is only the beginning of the work that we're doing. When you look at programs such as edible schoolyards, and I think we're going to think more about that, and we have a lot of culinary programs in New York City in the high schools. How do we make sure that what they're learning in their culinary programs is really more based on nutrition rather than very fancy food, as much as we may like it? So this is a movement. It's a movement that is long overdue. I think Brooklyn is always a place where we can do new and radical things, and I'm very proud of this school for taking initiative. And the fact that it came from children, and also because the Borough President is a poster child for this movement, I think is really, really good. So it's my pleasure. In Spanish, a little bit?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Nomás unas pocas palabras en español. Hoy venimos a celebrar que en 15 escuelas de la ciudad de Brooklyn no va a servir carne al mediodía. Y que muchos padres también tienen que darse cuenta que es importante que a lo mejor no sirven carne en casa tampoco ese lunes, para que los chiquillos tengan mejor salud y sepan más cocinar ellos mismos con comida que les beneficia. One of the kids also said to me that they don't eat meat on Mondays because it's less grease in their stomach. Words from the kids. So to me, it's not just about having a day, it's about understanding why you have that day and how it benefits you over time. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So before I bring up the Borough President, I want you to know I've been doing some public opinion research in the cafeteria here. And at the table with the kids I was at, I asked what their favorite vegetables were. This is going to be the most shocking revelation of the week. I still have not fully recovered from this experience. So first of all, of the three that were noted most often, the third most popular, I think is a lovely vegetable. I enjoy it. I'm not sure it's the leader in nutrition, but it's still a great vegetable. Lettuce was number 3. Okay, lettuce has a place. I wouldn't make it the center of things, but it has a place. Number 2 made a lot of sense to me because it's kind of been a favorite among kids for generations, was carrots. Always a winner. Cooked or raw, always a winner. But number 1 will blow your mind. If you're not sitting down, you might want to sit down at this point. Literally, number 1 with enthusiasm was broccoli. Okay? Anyone who thinks the world can't change, come here to PS1 and see these kids like, oh, broccoli, like with glowing faces. I said, what's your favorite vegetable? Like, broccoli. I'm like, wow, the world has changed. So, finally want to bring up the Borough President. And I really want to just make this point about the impact of a leader showing the way through his own personal example. It's not easy. And again, Eric can attest to whatever food choices he made in past years. But what I've heard with such passion was a realization for his life of recognizing that some of what we all came up with and we all taught wasn't working for him, and it doesn't work for a lot of other people. And he broke through that and said, I'm going to do something very, very different, and I'm going to show other people that it might be right for them. And he did not go halfway. I mean, it's just outstanding the way he looks, but also, as Eric has said, the kind of energy he has now, which is really extraordinary. So, Eric, I really want to commend you. You've got 2.6 million people look to you as their borough president. You've shown that things can change. It's making a real impression on the people of this borough and this city. And I want to thank you for your leadership. Our borough president, Eric Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. And, you cannot say enough about what the mayor is doing and what our chancellor is doing because the mayor said this morning, as we become disruptive to those things that were in place for many years, and it is difficult to move the needle in the right direction. We know how difficult it is, and those of you who already have made choices on lifestyle changes, both in the media and some of the advocates that are here, you get it. But the reality is, countless number of families don't. They believe eating healthy is too expensive. In some communities, they think that's a white person thing. And many people believe that fast food is the only food. And so what we are doing, we're going to look back on this day, and we're going to reflect on the changing direction of not only Brooklyn and not only New York, but the entire country and the entire globe. The globe is suffering from what we eat. We are digging our graves with our knives and forks. Food is harming us, but it also can heal us. I lost my sight, and I was technically blind in April of last year because of diabetes. Started the purpose of nerve damage that was going to lead to amputation. I had an acid reflux, a stomach ulcer. I was going through a breakdown in my body, high PSA level. Within 3 months, my sight returned. All of those conditions vanish and disappear. They can't find the ulcer. They can't find the acid reflux. It was just about the food, just about the food. This is so important, what we're doing. The most disheartening thing that came to my realization during this process of re-identification with food was learning that the food I fed my son gave him the asthma and the allergies that he has today. No parent wants to feed their children the wrong things. And what this principal is doing here in this school, under the watchful eye of the chancellor and her administration, we are giving our children a start. Go read the reports and see what food does to one's ability to concentrate, depression, emotional abilities, health, childhood diabetes, sweeping the country. 100 million Americans are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, the leading cause of heart disease, the leading cause of limb amputation, the leading cause of blindness, the leading cause of hypertension. All of these things, by allowing these children to say, I want to eat better, we're doing something fantastic. And why is it important here in PS1? We need to really let this settle in. As the mayor alluded to, and the chancellor alluded to, this is a bilingual school. 47% of this borough speaks a language other than English at home. What these children learn here, they go home and tell their parents to do things differently, and they start this culture of doing things differently. And this is not a philosophical discussion about what your position is on veganism or not. My personal belief and philosophy on how we should improve the environment of meat and cows, that's one thing. This is not about saving Dolly the cow. This is about saving Molly the child, who can live a healthy lifestyle if we give her the food she needs to eat and do so. Now, one hamburger or one processed meat is not going to cause cancer. No, we know that. But these habits that they're learning today are the habits of a lifestyle and a lifetime that will put them in a direction and a pathway that can harm them in a very real way. Making these children competitive, showing them how to divide up their refuge, to put it in the right canisters so we can recycle them. Showing them and allowing them, as the chancellor shared with me, that they chose the diet they want, because they have to be a part of this. We can't force feed them this. Putting the money and research into allowing them to grow their food, as we're going to do. I'm going to utilize 50% of my capital to go to build pods that allow plants to grow in classroom where children can watch them grow and they can see. Because when you grow it, you'll eat it and you'll understand it and you'll appreciate it. And the chancellor shared with me the edible farms, and we're going to sit down and partner with how do we duplicate this in the borough of Brooklyn. This is a historical moment, and we're going to look back and reflect on this day. And those of you who were the advocates, Chef Jocks and others in healthy school food, those of you who are the advocates who were there before we were, if you close your eyes and listen carefully, those are the bugles. The cavalry is coming, and we're going to make sure that we allow our children to have healthy food. It's not a motto, it's a reality. We're going to raise healthy children and families in the borough of Brooklyn and in the city of New York. And I said this morning, I'll continue to say, the way goes Brooklyn, goes New York. The way goes New York, goes America. The way goes America, goes the globe. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chancellor. Let's continue to raise healthy children and families.
Well, everyone, I want to conclude with this point, and we really need to reflect on it. When we get a little down sometimes we turn on the news and we feel a little depressed by what we see in the world. Let's remember the good news. We have to spread the good news. We have to spread the fact that there are good people everywhere making their lives better, other people's lives better. But we especially have to spread the news that the children started this here at PS1. So we'll conclude by giving a big round of applause to all of these kids. Thank you, everyone.